The royal palace of Zathera gleamed like a jewel against the twin suns of the planet, its crystal spires reflecting light in every direction. The city below buzzed with life, hovering vehicles zipping between towering skyscrapers and massive gardens that floated in anti-gravity fields. I had been summoned to the palace, but I couldn't have imagined why or how my life would change in the span of a single day. I was an ordinary human, an interstellar envoy with modest experience in diplomacy and conflict resolution, but compared to the ruling elite of Zathera, I was insignificant. And yet, here I was, standing in the grand entry hall, dwarfed by polished obsidian columns and the alien guards who moved like living statues, their armored carapaces gleaming under the sunlight streaming through the palace's translucent ceilings. The invitation had been cryptic. Come to the palace. Your presence is requested by Her Imperial Highness. There were no explanations, no mention of why I, a human envoy, had been singled out among dozens of other delegates. I had been briefed only to follow protocol, remain calm, and expect the unexpected. The hallways were lined with guards, their weapons, sleek, energy-infused spears, held rigidly in a ceremonial stance. At the center of the grand hall, atop a floating dais of levitating crystal platforms, she appeared, the Empress, or, more accurately, the princess who would inherit the empire. Her presence was magnetic, as if the air itself bent toward her. Her gown shimmered in shifting shades of violet and gold, conforming to the contours of her alien physiology. Her eyes, vast, multifaceted, and impossibly luminous, scanned the crowd with precision. Everyone bowed. Every alien dignitary, every soldier, every high-ranking envoy showed respect, even fear. I did as well, though my heart raced with curiosity and apprehension. Then something unexpected happened. She ignored the guards. She ignored the other envoys. She ignored everyone standing before her in the hall. Slowly, deliberately, she descended the floating dais and began walking toward me. I froze. The guards tensed, as if expecting her to be stopped. The murmurs in the hall grew louder, but she did not falter. Her gaze never wavered, locked on me as if no one else existed. By the time she reached the center of the hall, just a few feet away, my knees felt weak. The room was silent. Every pair of eyes watched in disbelief. "You," she said, her voice melodic but commanding, "come forward." I stepped cautiously, unsure of what to do. My mind raced. Was this a test? A trap? The palace guards exchanged wary glances, but she raised a single hand, signaling them to hold. I am here," I said, trying to sound steady. She smiled then, a soft, enigmatic curve of her lips that sent a shiver down my spine. "You will understand soon," she said, and then she gestured toward a private corridor branching from the grand hall. "Follow me." The guards stiffened, but again, she waved them off. The other envoys stared, mouths agape. One whispered, "How dare she?" I followed her into the corridor. The walls were crystalline, refracting light into intricate patterns on the floor. As we walked, she spoke, but not in words that I could hear. Instead, her voice entered my mind directly, a form of telepathic communication common among her species. "You may be wondering why I chose you over them." "Yes," I admitted aloud, though I wasn't sure she would hear it. "It is not because you are strong or influential or trained in diplomacy. You are different." Her words intrigued me. I had long suspected humans were underestimated in the galaxy. Our species lacked the physical enhancements or natural psionics that most alien civilizations prized. Yet there was something about us, a resilience and unpredictability, that caught the attention of beings like her. Most choose what is safe, what is expected. You do not. That is why I chose you. We entered a chamber at the heart of the palace. It was vast, circular, and open to the skies above. Floating gardens hung from the ceiling, and delicate streams of light cascaded through the crystalline walls. Here, away from prying eyes, she finally stopped and faced me fully. "You are not like the others," she said aloud this time. "Tell me, have you ever faced a choice where no one would understand why you acted as you did?" I hesitated. Many times, I admitted. Often, I act because I believe it's right, even if it seems foolish to others. Her eyes brightened, a radiant glint that made her almost appear ethereal.
Exactly.
For hours, she and I spoke, sometimes aloud, sometimes through thought. She revealed parts of herself she had never shared with anyone else. The weight of being the heir to an empire, the suffocating expectations of her lineage, the constant scrutiny by advisors and guards. She confided in me because she sensed I would understand without judgment, without awe, without fear. As the suns dipped below the horizon, bathing the chamber in amber light, she paused. Her gaze fixed on me. "I ignored everyone else," she said softly, "because no one else could see me. Not truly. Only you." I swallowed, realizing the gravity of her words. She had chosen me, not for power, not for appearances, not for diplomacy, but for recognition, understanding, and trust. Her hand extended toward me. It was delicate, almost fragile in appearance, but her aura radiated authority. "I want you to stay," she said. "Not as an envoy, not as a guest, as someone who knows me." I felt a mixture of awe and disbelief. I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything," she replied with a gentle smile. "Just stay, learn, and be yourself." That night, I remained in the palace, and for the first time, I saw the Empress, not as a ruler, not as a figure of awe, but as a person. Someone with doubts, desires, and strength tempered by wisdom. We spoke for hours, sharing thoughts and experiences from our vastly different worlds. I discovered how humans, though small and seemingly fragile compared to her people, carried a power of spirit and adaptability that could surprise even the most formidable alien civilizations. Days turned into weeks. I accompanied her on inspections of the Empire's fleets and territories, navigating court politics and alien protocols. I saw firsthand how she wielded authority with care and intelligence, balancing the needs of her people with the threat of external forces. Yet through it all, she remained unusually attentive to me, consulting, questioning, and occasionally seeking my perspective. One afternoon, while we observed the palace's training grounds from a balcony, she turned to me and smiled. "You have changed the way I see humans," she said. "Strength is not always in armies or weapons. Sometimes it is in courage, in choices, in loyalty." I nodded, realizing that my presence in her life, unintended and unexpected, had created ripples far beyond anything I could have imagined. My species, underestimated and dismissed by many in the galaxy, had earned the trust of a ruler of an empire through nothing more than integrity and sincerity. The day came when I was to return to my ship and resume official duties. I had expected a formal farewell, perhaps a polite bow and a few words of thanks. Instead, she walked past her guards, who had been instructed to flank me, and approached directly. "Do not think of this as goodbye," she said softly. "You have proven more to me than any ambassador ever could. You have earned a place not just in my confidence, but in the history of my reign. I trust you, human, and I hope you trust yourself." I felt a surge of emotion I hadn't anticipated, pride, awe, and a deep respect for this alien woman who had looked beyond appearances to see the core of who I was. I do," I said. Thank you for everything. She inclined her head, then returned to her duties, leaving me to reflect on what had transpired. I realized then that this encounter would define not only my life, but also the relationship between humans and the empire she would one day rule. The galaxy was vast and filled with wonders, dangers, and mysteries. But in that moment, I understood something profound. Courage and integrity can bridge worlds, even when armies, protocol, and expectation try to keep them apart. One choice, one act of recognition, could change the course of history. As I departed the palace, I looked back once and saw her standing among the guards, radiating authority and warmth simultaneously. She had chosen me, not because of what I could do or what I represented, but because she saw the human quality that mattered most: unwavering, unpredictable, and steadfast courage. And I knew, without a doubt, that I would never forget the day the Empress ignored her guards and chose me. Ending. As I stepped back onto the palace balcony, the twin suns dipping low over Zathera's horizon, I realized the weight of what had just happened. The Empress, her guards, her advisors, the entire court had watched, yet she had chosen me. Not for my rank, my skills, or my influence, but for who I was. A human. She approached me one last time, her eyes soft but unwavering. "Remember this, human," she said. "Courage isn't measured by armies or power. It's measured by the choices we make, the risks we take, and the integrity we hold when no one is watching. You've earned more than respect. You've earned trust." I felt something swell in my chest: pride, disbelief, and something deeper, a sense of belonging I had never experienced among stars and alien worlds. "Thank you," I whispered, "for trusting me." She nodded, then turned gracefully, rejoining the flow of palace life, yet leaving a mark that would never fade. I knew that our paths were now forever intertwined, not as ruler and envoy, but as beings who had recognized the strength within each other. As I boarded my ship and prepared to leave, I looked back at the palace one final time. The Empress stood among her people, radiant and commanding, yet she had shown me something far greater than her authority: the courage to see beyond appearances, the wisdom to recognize true character, and the choice to act on it. And in that moment, I understood something profound. One choice, one act of recognition, could change the course of lives, perhaps even the fate of empires. And I knew, without a doubt, that I would never forget the day the Empress ignored her guards and chose me. The stars stretched before me, endless and full of possibilities, and I smiled. Humanity had been underestimated again, but today we had been seen.